We're
So
good.
Nick, what's going on? Sorry, Jonathan. I just cut you right off.
Um, it has been a busy 4 days. I had a session with my homebrew crew, the Black Friday Quintet, on Thursday. They're finishing up kind of like the second arc in this large campaign, so they're doing that. And then yesterday, I had the privilege of playing a one shot at the Chicago Role Players Guild, which is like up in the north side of the city. We did what is it? It's a Dimension 20 game that we played.
Okay.
Let me pull it up really quick. It was just a little one shot. It is called, let's see here.
That's awesome.
Apologies for pulling this stuff up.
No, you're fine.
No,
It is
perfect.
called um Never Stop Blowing Up. Have you guys heard of that?
No.
Not yet.
No.
Tell more.
It's a I guess you would call it just like a D4 system, because you start with D4s, and then basically if you can roll like the highest number, if I roll a D4 and I get a 4, then my D4 transforms into a D6. And if
Uh,
I roll a D6 and then I get a 6, then it transforms into the next highest. So you can work your way up all the way to eventually a D20. And basically the premise is this: you're just like a action stunts person, so everything's over the top. You want to Tom Cruise and drive a motorcycle up the Statue of Liberty. You can roll to kind of do those things. So we were like a team that was put a group of stunt people that were put together to like do a heist in Paris. Is basically what it was. And
That's
so
awesome.
I played in that last night, and it was really fun at the Chicago Players Guild. So it was a really, really cool setup.
How many people
yeah,
on
that
your
sounds like a
table?
great time.
There were 7 of us, 6 at the table plus the GM, so 7 total. Their spot kind of reminds me of your guys. Like, they have like this nice built out. Everyone has like little desk lights next to them. There's a lot of terrain. They have like a projection screen for maps and things like
Oh,
that.
that's
It's a
awesome.
very cool space. They rent it out for people who want to come play shows, or I mean play like one shots, or host their campaign sessions there. I'm like very envious of how really cool that space is. And so the owner, Marcus, he ran the game for us last night. He was just like, "Hey, you want to come paint some miniatures? And well, I'll run a one shot." And I was like, "Say less, man, say less." You had me at just like, yeah. So but it was fun. So yeah, I had a game on Thursday, took a little break on Friday, had a game last night, and now I'm enjoying the 90-degree humidity here in Chicago. So it's a roller coaster of a weekend.
Nice. Very
Yeah.
cool. Well, with that, why don't we welcome everyone here to another episode of the Parking Lot Podcast. My name is Sarah, and that is Jonathan, and we are very excited to welcome Nick Garcia, who is the co-director, producer, writer of the documentary Perception Check. He's also DM. The documentary premieres at Gen Con Film Festival this August. Nick, thank you so much for joining us today in this humid weather. It's actually cooled down a little bit here in New York. It was steamy and close to 102 Tuesday, Wednesday, Jonathan. It was kind of nasty.
Yeah, it got
Well,
warm.
well, thank you guys for having me. Like, I love your guys' show. It's very great, and
Thank
so I'm very excited to be a guest on the show. Thank you for having me.
you. Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. I kind of am fanboying right now. I'm just going to be honest. Watching Perception Check was absolutely amazing. Just watching the detail and the overarching story that you put forward absolutely floored me. I think Sarah had said to me, "Hey, we're gonna have Nick on. I need you to watch this." And it was one of those days where like I didn't have a lot of time, and I was like, "I'm just gonna start it, just
Yeah,
to dip my toe in." And we ended up just watching the whole thing straight through because it
love
just
it. Thank
captivates
you.
you from the opening scene. So,
Thank you.
wow, awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
I mean,
I
I mean,
feel like
I
there's
had
some
watched it
places where
first, but
I feel like there's some, like, I don't know, this is just the creator in me. Like, you put your stuff out there, but I always feel like it's gonna be one of those background movies. You're vacuuming or doing the dishes while it's playing. So that's how I always look at it. But it is very the community has been very supportive and very welcoming of my movie. And that in itself is I love hearing that stuff. And I'm glad that I was able to create something that people are sit down and they gravitate to and they can relate to. So hearing those words, Jonathan, thank you, and Sarah as well. Like, thank you so much. That it means a lot. It really does mean a lot.
I think the first time I stumbled upon your Instagram account, I was just captivated by your black and white photos and the photos that you had set up for perception check. And I was like, I need to watch this. And at first, I had just watched the intro,
Mhm.
and the intro was so beautifully done, capturing all the little details, all of the mechanics that a DM will go through as he's preparing for his session. He comes into the room. There's no players at the table yet. It's just him and the table.
Yeah,
He starts putting down his dice. Everything is in a special certain order, and he gets his book out. Like, all of those things I just thought were so special and so neat to show all of those little details. And then the rest just kind of opened up this really cool story with you and all of your players.
yeah. I knew early on that I wanted I knew early on that I wanted that to be kind of it's like the calmness before the storm. Basically, you as a DM, I'm sure we've all been there. Uh, Things happen and change very very quickly when you're running the game. So I kind of just wanted to show viewers, like, right at the beginning, like, this is what a DM setup does. This is
Yeah.
basically what you're doing before the players get there and before, words start being thrown and your plan basically goes out the window. It's kind of like again, it's that calmness, it's that zen. You get to put everything where you want,
Mhm.
you get to build your setup and then just throw you right into the fire. Like, that was the whole idea of the opening. And I knew very, very early on that if I was going to shoot one thing and if it was going to be just a promo for something, that's what I would want, is that opening shot.
Yeah, it was really beautifully done, and that absolutely was what drew me in immediately.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think in the realm of, 2025, you have 13 seconds, 15 seconds or less
Yeah.
to captivate someone's attention. You do a perfect job at it. When you're scrolling through Instagram or anything like that, those first couple seconds are key and you really knock it out of the park.
Well, thank you. Yeah, you make an excellent point. Like, if you don't get someone's attention, like, you snap
Mhm.
the fingers, they're scrolling on to the next thing. So, um, again, kind of the other thing too is like matching the music with things. I wanted it to, when I was first looking at making a movie, I searched a lot of YouTube and I searched a
Mhm.
lot of Instagram posts and TikTok. I wanted to watch a movie about Dungeons and Dragons that didn't have a celebrity in it, someone that I could relate to. And there are a few things out there. There are some like mini documentaries and things like that, but I wanted like a full length people playing the game and talking about playing the game, and I couldn't find it. So that kind of gave me the kickstart to say, well, I guess it's time for me to make it. And I come from a very like punk rock, and I mean, if I say I'm saying this right now, there's probably everyone at my table that'll look at me and be like, "Dude, you are not punk rock. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you're not any of that stuff." But I come from this where I like, like metal music, and I like punk rock stuff, and I like fantasy metal. I like all these things. And so matching the music with the opening too was kind of one of those tricky things where I didn't want to fall into the same tropes of like a fantasy documentary and
Mhm.
have like fantasy, hobbit music going around the
Right.
thing. I wanted, stuff that kind of like punched you in the face. And so pairing the music with the opening and then like the rest of the music that you get through the film was something that I kind of wanted to be. That's the different parts. What I wanted to showcase is like, yeah, we are a bunch of nerds and people that love rolling dice, but we like cool music too. And, we go out and do things and we party. And so I kind of wanted to show that aspect of that different side of people that play this game.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
really
think it's a
appreciate
very
that.
tricky thing to do is to say, I don't want to be, the thing that works. We know
Yeah.
what works. We know that if I put Hobbit music with D&D,
Yeah.
we're going to get the people to watch it. But
Yes.
to say, I want to make something that's me, and then the risk of saying this might not work, but it's
Yeah.
me. And I hope other people can see this and say, no, this still works. And you
Yeah.
do a great job.
Thank you. Yeah, that is a scary it is a scary thing because I could have played it safe and it could have just been fantasy music and just people talking about character creation and things like that. Things that you see in other documentaries, kind of like satanic panic stuff. And when they
Yeah.
talk about how D&D,
Yeah.
now there's so much stuff. Like if you want to watch documentaries on that about D&D, it is there. Like there's so many of those there. But if you want to, I wanted people to look at our table and say, like, see themselves. Like, yeah,
Hmm.
I play exactly like that guy, or Nick is kind of like the DM that I've played with the DM like him, or I sit at a table with terrain too. Wow, like I'm seeing it on the screen. That was me like not playing it safe. And again, yeah, it's like if it didn't work, at least I still put the movie out that I wanted to do. And at the end of the day, I was like, I want to make a movie for myself. Also, want to make a movie that people see and say, "Shit, like I could do that too. Like I could tell my group's story, whatever medium that you want to do it. But I wanted them to get inspired and be like, yeah, he did that. I could do that too.
Yeah, that definitely came across. I mean, from the very beginning, it just was a whole vibe that kind of carried out through the movie. And I love music, and you always try and do things for yourself first, and then hope
Hmm.
someone else picks up on it and likes it as well. And even for like our social media, we like a lot of '80s music, and I always
Yeah,
try and include that in all of our posts. So when you're scrolling through it, it's kind of like a throwback '80s playlist through each of our posts, but then I also hope everyone likes what we're posting about as well because we like it and we enjoy it. And I think that's something really important to do with any content that you're putting out is to make
yeah,
sure something you're passionate about and love, and then hope you can connect with, like-minded people as well.
agreed. Um, Music wise, there. If you watch the movie, they'll be credited at the end. But I knew early on that I wanted the band Gygax to play a part in that because they're named after Gary Gygax,
Yeah.
obviously co-creator of D&D. So I reached out to them, and knowing it was I was like, these guys are established musicians. They're gonna look at me and say, give us $10,000 or whatever, or
Right.
the money that I didn't have.
Right.
Um, I emailed them. I said, hey, making a movie about D&D. You guys embody that. Like all your music is just super cool. The name, everything. Can I use one of your songs? And they're like, yeah, dude, go ahead. Whatever you want. So it was like kind of like that was scary, like sending that email.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Not the worst thing they could have said was no, and type ordeal, but it was still scary. I was like, why would they want to help an independent filmmaker make a movie about D&D? But they were super supportive. They said, yeah, pick whatever song you want, use it. And so I was able to use the dice roller song at the very, very end during the montage, which I had other options, but I was like, "Fuck, I really want this song. I really want this song in this
Yeah.
movie." So, and to your point, Sarah, like music that's part of captivating people's attention. Like if you don't have the right music there and you play the wrong song over a post, they'll swipe away. But if you can kind of give them that nostalgia feel
Hmm.
and maybe a song from the '80s that they're like, "Oh, I just want to listen to this post because of the song,"
Yeah.
I think that's very powerful.
Yeah, music is so important, and I don't know if you've ever watched, like, a behind the scenes at making a movie or even a documentary, but when you're watching it and there is no music, it's a little odd, and then you get them to play that second layer over the film, and then the music comes
Yeah,
in, and you're like, "Oh, okay, now that scene makes sense."
yeah. It was very hard. So I'm not a filmmaker. I didn't go to school for film. This is like
Okay.
the first, first time making a film, first time doing any of this stuff. So regularly what I've heard from other professionals is that you usually cut a film to music. So you pick out all your music first and then layer over the shots over the music.
Right.
For me, I can't think that way. I need to see the show first and then put music over that. And so, like, I basically delivered the first cut of the film to my editor and he was just freaked out. It was Brett, and he kind of freaked out. He was like, "Dude, there's no music in this. Like, what are we doing?" I was like, "I don't know, man. Like, I figured that we just dropped the music in
Yeah.
afterwards." And it was kind of just like, "Oh my god, what is this guy doing?" Like, yeah. So
Yeah.
filmmakers out there, find the music that you want first, and then do your film over that, because we kind of did things backwards, and that was primarily my fault, because first timer doing
Sure.
this. So pick your music first, and then shoot your stuff second. You want to be able to tell your movie through sound first, and then visual. But I don't know, man. I do things odd. So if you're a filmmaker out there that wants to shoot the thing first, shoot the thing first. Do it your own way, whatever makes
Yeah,
sense
do
to
your
you.
way.
You do
Yeah,
you. I mean, that's a
yeah,
little bit of a pro tip. So you had I mean, you have a background in writing and journalism, right? And
yes,
so,
correct.
and photography as well.
More like a hobbyist type ordeal. Like I've just been into cameras, since my dad, was one of those fathers that always bought the camcorder, always bought the camera.
Yeah.
So they've always been in my life. But yeah, my primary background is in journalism and in writing.
So all of that absolutely attributed to your skills and your ability to be able to write, direct, co-produce a
Yeah,
film. And you did all of this with your friend, right? Like the co-producing, the writing and directing.
yeah. So um, flashback to 2024, and I lost my job, and I was speaking with a lot of like my mentors and a lot of former coworkers and a lot of like advisors and trusted people, kind of just like, I this is the first time losing my job, and I was like, what do I do next? Like, what do I do? And they're all like, well, first off, you're doing the right thing. You're having these conversations with people, so you're already on the right track. And after a few of these conversations, I was picking up on one thing that they all said. And basically, it was, you need to, right now at this point in your life, you need to do something that you want to do, something that you love. And up until this point, I'd been playing D&D for about 3 years, and I had been filming the group and, photos and stuff off and on, but I had no real like particular reason why I was doing that. It was
Hmm.
just something, capturing memories, wanting to have all that stuff, like an archive of that stuff. And so I sat down and I was like, well, if I want to do something I want to do, I'm really into film. I love movies. I write by trade. I love D&D. I was like, why don't I make a movie? Like, why don't I put this together and make a movie? And then that's when the snowball happened, where I was like, well, let me check and see if there's not already a movie that out here that exists. Couldn't find it. So then I got the ball rolling. And then I think June, July, and August of 2024, I wrote a first draft and I filmed kind of like a first cut of the movie by myself. I had this goal of doing it all by myself. And in August, I was like, I can't. This is too hard. I'm wearing too many
Hmm.
hats. For do like it's
Hmm.
just too. It's too hard to kind of do it on. It's ambitious to do it, and some people can do it. And I'm telling you, like, if you think you can do it, more power to you. At that point, I was like, the product's gonna product, but like this passion project of mine is gonna suffer if I continue on this route and try to do it on my own. So I reached out to my buddy Brett, who has a background in like animation and
Hmm.
and writing himself. And I was like, "Hey man, I can't pay you anything, but I give you a chance to work on a movie. I got this idea. I have a deadline. I know where I have to meet March 13th. That's the
Hmm.
Gen Con Film Festival. That's the one festival out of everything that I want to meet. So I've got the deadline. Here's the script. Here's the first cut. Let's do this together." And he was on board. He's a member of the quintet. He plays Biro. He was like, "Yeah, man, let's do this. Let's try to knock this out together." And so I learned how to edit film all by myself. Learned Premiere Pro. Did all, watched copious amounts of YouTube videos on how to do things. YouTube is like the thing. So I
Yeah.
learned I
Jonathan's
learned
laughing because this is
yeah,
was his life last summer.
yeah.
Yeah. I know this
Um,
story.
Yeah, and so, then, I brought him on. I had a few other friends, that, kind of have a background in film, so they kind of helped with, like, camera and a little production design here and there. And then I brought my friend Alex on for sound at the end. I talked with a really good advisor. His name is Phil out in Washington, D.C., and he gave me a really good piece of advice. And this is for all filmmakers and or anybody watching. If you want a really good tip, he said, you eat more often than not, you can watch something that looks shitty, but you will not listen to
Yes.
anything that sounds shitty.
Yep.
So he goes, bringing on a sound guy, a professional sound guy was probably the best decision you ever made. And I agree. So for people out there, don't skip on the sound. Like that's
Mhm.
people will watch a movie that looks bad, but they will not listen to a movie that sounds bad. So and it was just learning. It was taught through the whole progress. I'm talking to people. I'm saying like, here's the first cut. Can you give me notes on it? Here's the second cut. What do you think? What's the music like? What's the sound like? So it was just having all these conversations, and then lo and behold, March comes around. We finish our goal. We make the movie. I submit it to Gen Con, patiently waiting. I'm like, oh man, all my eggs are in this basket. This is the one. And I remember I was running a session for the quintet. I got an alert. I'm looking down at my phone. I got this alert into this email in the middle of the session. Clicked on it, and it was just like a little explosion. It was like, congratulations, your film was selected to the Gen Con Film
It's awesome.
Festival. Paused the
That's
session, and I was like, we made it to Gen Con. We're at Gen Con. So
And that's where we wrap
yeah.
tonight's session. I have to go celebrate.
Yeah.
So,
That is
but
so
yeah,
awesome.
it was a learning experience, and I taught myself all this stuff. And if you want to make a film or if you want to do anything, you're not alone. People do it for the first time. YouTube will be your best friend. People like you guys will be their best friend. People who know how to do podcasts and market and things like that. These are the people that you need to be having conversations with. And this community is very, 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 very accepting that if you just ask
Totally.
someone that's been there, they will help you. They will, oh, you need to interview someone that
Yeah.
knows something. I mean, I have someone for you. Cool. You're doing that. Love it. So
Yeah.
this community has been the best.
Yeah, that's something that
Absolutely.
we've heard again and again and again. We had Andy Davis, owner and creator behind Dodeca Donuts, on the podcast a few weeks ago. He said the same thing. Like when he was starting out, he was making merchandise. He wanted to make pins, and he wasn't sure where to go and get them. And he was at a con, and people were like, "Oh, you want pins? Here's my pin guy." Like, "Oh, you want this? Here, let me make a call and connect you with this person." And that's just been like the constant like standard in this niche of RPG, TTRPG world, that everyone is so readily like available to help you, connect you with someone they know so that you can do something. And
Yeah.
it's incredible. I mean, I know we're both really honored to be in this space and have made so many incredible connections, and so easily too.
Yeah. It's great. It's a great
Yeah.
feeling to be like, to be part of something like that.
Totally. Totally. So how is recording with everyone on your table? I know for Jonathan and I, when we first sat in a studio and we got in front of, 4 or 5 cameras and bright lights and we saw ourselves on a screen, it was really intimidating. And then we kind of got used to it, and now I don't even think about it. But how was it for you and your table?
So, um, you definitely learn. It sounds cliche. It's like you definitely learn who people are when you put a camera in their face, so to speak. It was. I would say that was probably one of the more challenging aspects of making the movie, because the crew was very small, and I did have one camera guy that came in and kind of helped with some of that stuff. But for the most part, I would have to, playing out a scene. I tell them to, the door's magic. What are you gonna do? Knowing that would buy me like at least 15 minutes, because they're just gonna argue back and forth on how to get through this door. So then I would just, pick up the camera, and I'm like trying to film while they're doing that. So definitely filming was during a session was the challenging point. But then you learn little tricks about people, especially like when I was interviewing people. There are some people who are just camera magnets, and they know they it's like they're themselves even though a camera's there. They can just talk to you and have a conversation. But then there are some people that like freeze up, and they think that they're getting interrogated for a murder that's happening. And so
Right.
it was definitely challenging learning who those people are, and then learning who the people are where you could just have a camera pointing at them 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
So that was definitely one of the more trickier aspects of the movie. Was it is a documentary, and I wanted everything to feel very handheld,
Hmm.
very,
Mhm.
there's just a camera in the space moving around. But then there are aspects of our DM table where like that just couldn't happen. So I had like a fixed tripod on
Yeah.
two ends of the gaming space,
Yeah.
just kind of just recording from a wide. But even that, I mean, like sometimes they would say things and I would have to pause and be like, "What are you doing? Like, you don't sound like that. Why but just be yourself. Like, get the thing. It's old, but it's like, forget that the camera's there." But
Yeah.
yeah, that was definitely one of the more trickier parts of making the movie.
We have a character on our table that so perfectly breaks the fourth wall
Yeah.
when he needs to. And so it's like he's focused on us, and then he says something, and then boop, his eyes go to the camera, and then he comes back. And watching it in post production, I'm like, this is perfect. Like you can tell this individual
Yeah.
just knows the space and is so comfortable. And then,
Yeah.
you do have me 99% of the time that's like rigid. I'm like,
Yeah. Like, do I have a stain on my
the whole
shirt? Type like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I admit that I gravitate more to you, Jonathan. I'm the same way. Like I wish that I could be more energetic and stuff on camera, but I'm definitely the guy that's like, uh, you know, can't smile.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
Elizabeth, I don't know if you guys watch Hot One, but there's an episodes
Yes.
of Hot Ones with Elizabeth Olsen, and
Yeah.
like she does, there's no wrinkles in her face. She just like eats, no smile, no nothing. And I was like, man, well, that's great. Like that's a skill in itself, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, that or like a little like Talladega Nights where Will Ferrell like doesn't know what to do with his hands and he just keeps doing this as, he's talking into the
yeah.
microphone. Yeah, it's definitely
Oh,
it's definitely something that you have to get used to. But now that we've been in our studio for like over a year, I think for the most part all of us just sit down and we don't even think about the cameras. In fact, we
yeah,
recently moved some of the cameras around. We got a new table, and had to like kind of adjust some of the things inside the studio. And that took a little while to adjust to know that instead of a camera being on our left, it's now on our right
yeah.
and different things. But I mean, you get used to it. It's a weird thing though, still to have all
It
these
is.
cameras on you.
It was also good to have someone like Brett there because in the first draft, I'm just fixed tripod recording myself,
Yeah.
and then with someone else behind the camera, and I'm a Will Ferrell type. I get kind of animated and speak with my hands. It's just part of who I am. But he would pause and be like, "Yo, like the camera only extends this far, so don't put your hand like
yeah.
you could talk within the square, but don't move your hand out here. If you do that, then we're gonna have to cut and say something else." So
Yeah.
it was, and I would not have known that if I would have continued doing it by myself. But it's just those small little things that
Mhm.
like being camera shy or anything that just
Yeah.
Spatial
Knowing your
awareness,
mark.
people.
yes, yes, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Jonathan's constant reminder in the studio is spatial awareness, people. Spatial awareness.
Yeah.
Because you have mics
There's
above you.
mics above you.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And you just get up and move around. Yeah, always spatial awareness.
So we use a lot of on set. We used for us. I had like a shotgun mic on my A7. I filmed with an A7C, and then I filmed with an FX30. And so with the A7C, we had a shotgun mic out the entire time. And then for some sessions, you can't really notice it in the film, but uh, I would make people like roll like a D20, and I'd be like, all right, whoever the two people who get the lowest, you're getting mic'd up for the day. So then the FX30 was, I would run like a lav mic through all of them. So
Yeah.
through certain sessions, there's at least two people that were completely mic'd up the entire time. So I could get that character, voice and, them just talking nonsense in between takes and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Because I feel like that's what makes a documentary real is you want them
Mhm.
Yeah.
to just have the normal conversations that they have. And I would say that that was one of the other challenging things was getting like B-roll of my friends just being themselves. That we have some of it in the movie, but there was just so much more where the minute the camera came out, they would just be like, uh We don't we don't want to do anything anymore. And I'd be like, come on, dude, like you just be yourself. Like
Yeah.
growing up in high school and stuff, I was always that guy too with like the camcorder, like going everywhere. And I mean, those friends back then loved it. I mean,
Mhm.
shooting skate
Mhm.
videos and they
Yeah.
couldn't have they'd be like, why don't you have the camera out? These people were more so like, dude, put the camera away. Like we don't need just
Yeah.
stop filming us for a little bit. So but I filmed them for 3 years. And when the movie was done, I think when we finished, I brought the camera out one more time. And Brad jokingly was like, dude, movie's over. What are you doing? Like, but you don't need it anyway. And I was
This is
like,
part of
I
your
get it.
life now.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Um,
That's funny. Yeah, I think I try and capture most of B-roll in general and photos, and growing up kind of like you, Nick, my mother had a camcorder, always had a camera, and that is just something that I was used to, always being filmed and being in photos. And I'm probably that obnoxious friend that is constantly taking photos and film of everyone. But for us, for Legends of the Tabletop, I have so much B-roll. I don't know if and when I'll ever use it. And I have
yeah,
so many really cool candid shots of all of us at the table or at events. I mean, I'm really grateful to have all of that. And I think it's nice to see that you've put all of that into a movie because it kind of lends to what you're talking about, how like you want people to connect with different players on your table and say, I have that person or I am that person. And I think that's
yeah.
special about having all of that really nice B-roll and candid footage that you have.
And I'm very a physical media type of guy, and so I know that everyone has their own DMing style type ordeal, and going back to the film is like when I learned how to play D&D, it was a theater of the mind
Mhm.
thing. It was like a that's how I learned, and then the small story within the movie is, I went to Gary Con for the first time, and I really was sitting there playing Theater of the Mind, and I saw this table next to me running this giant castle made of dwarven forge, and that's when it clicked. I was like, I want that. I want that experience right there. So at my table, you get that physical experience. You get a mini that you get to move around. If you're fighting a dragon, I'm putting a dragon on the table for
Mhm.
you to see and experience. And I have it like right here, but it's even like for small things like the campaign notebooks, the Black Friday quintet book. I want a physical a representation of what their story is. That way, at the end of the day, I put that on a bookshelf and like that's where it's gonna live. And if I have
Nice.
a nephew who's slowly getting into this stuff, I want him to come over one day and pull that off the shelf and be able to see like this is the story that they ran through. So I want all those things to exist.
That's so cool. And you take,
Yeah.
talking about books and notebooks, you take a lot of notes for your sessions, right?
Yeah.
Like you write, you're
Tons,
pretty
tons.
thorough. The
Yeah.
journalist in you comes out in those things, doesn't it?
It does. It does. And that's kind of just, the fun in me is I read a lot of fantasy books, as you can see behind me. And although my friend Brian, who's also in the film, his DM and style were two opposites. He's like, I want choice. I'm not walking you guys through a novel ordeal. For me, I kind of want to build the novel world. I want to have the world built for them, and then they create the scenarios and the experiences that happen. Like they're shaping the world too, but I want to have that foundation. So that's why I do take a lot of notes. And you're going to know every building. Every building at least has a name,
Hmm.
and maybe not every NPC has a voice because I'm terrible at doing voices. But most of them, it's like kind of that illusion of choice aspect. Like there may be 10 people in the bar, but if you talk to one guy, it's going to be the guy that you need to talk to in type ordeal. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's awesome. So you talked about going to Gary Con, your film premieres at Gen Con. What has been your favorite con that you've gone to so far?
So, so Gary Con, I will put that pound for pound any convention um, on the in North America because I know there's some pretty great things overseas. Um, but for me, Gary Con, not just because it's close, because it's just an hour drive for me, but the intimacy feel that comes
Mhm.
with Gary Con. It feels like everyone's staying in the same hotel. There's only one lobby bar to drink at. And so it kind of feels like a summer camp. Like everyone goes back to their room to sleep, but you know where to find them when the day starts. They're going to be in the lobby. There's only one restaurant to eat at. Um, the grounds, the resort is really nice. In wintertime when it snows, it just looks beautiful. Um, so for me, that I feel like is what I like in a convention. I'm going to Gen Con for the very first time this year. I'm kind of nervous, overwhelmed, but I'm also excited because I do love, I get it's 77,000 potential new friends, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But Gary Con for me, I think is one of the best because of just that. Everyone's here to play some D&D, to roll some dice, to have some
Yeah.
drinks. Um, there's a funny story, if you don't mind me sharing, like a funny story to share.
Please do.
Please.
I went to Gary Con for the very first time during the 50th anniversary year, and I'm sitting down by myself having, I can't remember, I was drinking like a Manhattan or just something I shouldn't have been ordering or drinking or anything like that. And the dungeon dudes, Kelly and Marty, kind of like
Aw.
walk up next to me. And they're just like looking around, and I kind of like stand up and I was like, "Hey, you guys are the dungeon dudes, right?" Yeah, very, very friendly guys. We just start chatting. And I was like, "Yeah, I love your show. I'm here by myself, first time going here, kind of just shooting the shit stuff." And then Jim Zub walks up, the writer of Conan the Barbarian,
Mhm.
and they're just chatting up like old buddies, and I'm kind of just now I feel like the awkward, third wheel
Third
at the
wheel.
date
Yeah.
that's about to happen. Jim's like, "Hey, you guys want to come sit down? Like, we'll go get a table, we'll have some drinks." They walk off. I like getting ready to say bye, and Kelly turns around and he's like, "You coming with us? Like, you coming with?" I was like,
Oh,
"Sure, like let's do
Yeah.
that." And so
see?
I sat with them.
Absolutely, I'm governed.
We talked Marvel Snap. We talked Conan. Jim was just telling us like the stories of the old days. We talked about like what games we were playing. He just kept ordering drink after drink for all of us. Like it was just they were just people. They weren't celebrities or anything like that. They were just guys talking about the game that they love. We just all happened to be in the same room, and that that is the feeling of that convention all the time, regardless. This conversation's happening, and fucking 5 feet away from me is Vince Vaughn and Tom Morello and The
Yeah.
Big Show and Joe Manganiello and DB Weiss. Like, they're right there. I'm seeing Vince Vaughn shovel cheeseburgers into his mouth, and they're just dudes. They're just people that are just
Yeah.
hanging out, having a good time, and I feel like that's like the powerful thing of a convention. I will say that I am going to experience Gameful Con in October, which is in Madison, Wisconsin. So you can find me there. I'm also showing Perception Check at that convention as well
Oh, awesome.
as a kind of
Awesome.
as an event. So I'm that one I've heard too is a very intimate, smaller con, but I'm excited for that one as well. So I'm going to that one. You can find me there in October as well.
That's really cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you're not the first person that has said that Gary Con is the con to go
Mhm.
to for connecting with people and that
Yes.
it is absolutely just a vibe on its own that is not like any other con. I mean, we've been to PAX U. We're not going to be at Gen Con this summer, unfortunately, but we're going to be at PAX U again this fall. And next year, I think, is our year to go to cons. So we're really looking forward to especially going to Gary Con. And
Nice.
Jonathan, you have a story from PAX U about the Dungeon Dudes, right?
Oh, yeah, I mean, absolutely. We have 2 stories from PAX U, actually. So, the one with Dungeon Dudes is, they had a panel, and I love Dungeon Dudes. I learned D&D by watching Dungeon Dudes,
Nice, nice.
and so I made sure that we were, like, first in line for for their panel, and we got, like I think we were, like, row 2,
Yeah, we were right
behind
behind
their
their like
manager.
manager and social media people.
Yeah.
Nice.
So when they concluded, they came off stage and they went to see talk to their manager. And I I was like, I shouldn't bother them because, they're busy people. But I was like,
Yeah.
hey guys, just want to let you know I love you. You guys are awesome. And so Kelly turns to me and he's like, hey, thank you so much. And I was like, I just want to let you know I learned Dungeons and Dragons by watching your show. See, I consider you guys like my dungeon dads. And he takes a moment and he extends his arm and he says, "It's good to see you, son." And I was like, how did this guy come up with this
Yeah.
in the moment? These are DMs
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
your mind is already working out an answer and a response to it. And then Monty also came over and said hi to us. We were like, "Hey, we're starting our own YouTube channel." They were like, "Well, best of luck to you guys. Like, we hope everything is great for you." And it's so awesome that the community is that way. Like, they
Yeah.
know who they are. They're dungeon dudes. And
Yeah.
like, you going up and be like, "Hey, I watch you." And they're like, "Hey, let's have a conversation real quick."
Yeah.
Instead of, the "I don't have time for you."
Wait in
And
line,
yeah,
Yeah.
type ordeal.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can see me when I'm signing autographs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
no,
then our
they were
second
awesome.
one was you know, Critical Role was demoing Daggerheart
Daggerheart.
that day as well. And so we got in the line for that. But as we were walking to the line,
Oh yeah.
we actually got behind Spencer Stark, who
Okay.
was one of the writers. And so like I knew who he was, but I didn't want to make a big deal of it. And we got up to the portion where the line was, and he's trying to figure out how to like get into the auditorium. And I just say to him, "You should just, say, 'Hey, I'm kind of a big deal.'" And he's like, "Yeah, I should. I should say that." But yeah, like,
That's
everyone's
yeah.
just so welcoming
The-
and just they're just normal people.
Yeah. And like that's a fantastic point because even like at GaryCon, that's what it feels like. You don't feel like you're bothering someone there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You're just another friend. You're just another person that also loves rolling dice.
Yeah. And soon
Yeah.
that'll be you. I'm like, "Yo, this one time I talked to Nick Garcia. It was amazing."
We'll be at GaryCon one day and be like, "Nick, Carrie,
And he'll be like, "I don't know you."
get in
I
line."
think at this route, it's going to be the other way around. It's like I know the legends over there. Like I was on their podcast once. Type of deal.
Yeah, Nick, it'll be $75 for our autograph if you
Yeah.
want it. Give you a discount.
I think there's a chance that I too as well might be going to my first PAX this year.
Okay.
Cool.
Small because that one's in November, right? I
Yep.
believe.
PAX
Yep,
2 should be in
November
November, yeah.
21st,
Yeah.
22nd, and 23rd.
Crossing my fingers. I think there's a small chance that I will be down there as well. And if we are, we can test
Do
out
it.
this theory on who's more
Yes.
popular by. So, yeah.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah.
Yeah, PAX U is a lot of fun. We've gone to PAX East before, but
Mhm.
PAX U is definitely more kind of like our vibe of people. And it's been really nice to see, we've only gone to a few cons, but to connect with people on social media, then actually meet them in person. And then the next
Yeah.
time you see them, it's like you're old friends and you're taking
Yeah.
photos. And we
Yeah.
actually just went to a grassroots con actually in June. That's AutoCon. That's a local con here in Pleasant Valley, New York, downstate New York. And that one's only been in, I think this is their fourth year, right, Jonathan? And it was a really cool experience. They invited us to come sit and do a panel, and they had all people bring
Nice.
different games that they had written and play there with different individuals. And it was just nice to like see everyone and be part of it. And I think they started out their first year, they only had like 20-25 people, and this year they had over 100 that had signed up, and they've been doing it for 4 years. So that was really fun, and we were really honored to be in like this, one of the beginning first years of this con, because it could, who knows, it could become another
Yeah.
like GaryCon, Gen Con.
That's awesome. And like seeing the growth, I think is great. Just
Yeah.
seeing, it just gets more and more and more. So I think that's really, really
Yeah, it was just a guy who loves, TTRPG, RPG games, and he just wanted to bring a bunch of people together, and him and his wife and their friends just started this a few years ago.
that kind of sounds like the origin story of the quintet. When I learned that if I wanted to play more D&D, I had to be the GM.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was just like, okay, you're gonna play, and you don't have a say in this. You're gonna sit at the table and you're gonna play like you're gonna play this game.
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of like how that started.
Yeah,
Secret. I forced people to play it.
that's how Sarah started.
Yeah, me.
I
Yeah,
was
here.
like, "Listen, you're going to play
Guilty.
this game."
Yeah.
Jonathan was like, if you want to hang out with me more than just a few hours a week, I'm going to be playing Dungeons and Dragons, so you can come sit on the table.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you won't see me.
Nice. Yeah.
It's fine. I like it now. It's cool.
Love it. Love it. Do you guys, I mean, I know that you guys are speaking to me, but I do want to ask a question. Do you guys play any other games other than like 5th edition? Like, do you find yourself playing like either like Shadow Dark or any other TTRPGs?
I'll let you answer first, Sarah.
Me? Oh, okay. Well,
Mhm.
actually, when we first started Legends of the Tabletop in our friend's studio, we did something called Game of the Week.
Okay.
And we had Exploding Kitten sent us a bunch of games. Dolphin Hat Games sent us games, and we were doing a lot of tabletop card games, the fun, silly ones. And that's kind of how we started before we actually had a campaign. So we love playing any kind of ridiculous
Nice.
card games with our friends. And then
Yeah.
we have the campaign that we're in now. My cousin, we played in a few campaigns of his before we started any of this, early like 2000s. I think Jonathan is like your origin story of D&D, right? Is when you started officially playing D&D.
Yeah, and as far as like other role-playing games, I've played Pathfinder.
Mm.
I had a friend that was DMing and he loved Pathfinder, so I played that with him. I've played GURPS, which is like a general role-playing game. You can adapt it to any kind of story. That was very interesting. It was chunky. Um, I'm not a huge like number crunching kind of
Yeah.
guy. I like kind of just go, here, I'm gonna
Math.
throw
Who likes it?
76 down and
Yeah.
because it's a fireball and that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Um, I've also, we bought Daggerheart when it came out. I
Yeah.
haven't had a chance to actually play it yet, but
It
I
is
want to get into that.
beautiful.
And what else have we played? Oh, we
Frostgrave,
played.
some
Yeah, we played
skirmish
Frostgrave.
games,
That's a
Warhammer
skirmish game.
games. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We played. It's called SW5E, so it's a Star
Oh
Wars
yeah.
iteration of Fifth Edition.
Gotcha. Okay.
And Alex, not our DM, but one of our other Alexes on our table, ran that for us for like 6 months or so. And that was fantastic because
Nice.
I know, Star Wars is one of your loves as well.
Yes.
Being able to play a Star Wars role-playing game was absolutely phenomenal. Um, Everyone is trying to play like, a Force user. I think we had one
Obviously,
player that
right?
wasn't.
Yeah.
We had one player that wasn't a Force user. We're like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. It's your chance, man. Yeah. You want to be the Han Solo of the group? Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, and Jonathan,
That-
you ran a Star Wars campaign for a little bit, right? That I set on the
oh
table.
yeah, yeah. We
That was
ran
fun.
an older edition of a Star Wars game, and I ran that. But here's the thing: it was my very first time DMing, so it was terrible.
We had
I
fun.
was like, I don't know what's going on. If you said you rolled that, then that works. I
Sure.
don't know. Sarah Sarah created she had one of the Han Solo characters, a non-force user, but she made it so heavily tech savvy that like anytime anything ever had to happen with like a computer, she's like, I rolled a 37. And I'm like, I don't know how that's even possible.
Well, sure. Yeah.
No,
That's cool.
we had one moment in that game where I don't remember what we were doing, but like we had to get like off the ship and somehow like jump onto another ship, and then I had to navigate it out of wherever we were, and it was like almost impossible
Oh
that
yeah.
this was
A Star
actually going to
Destroyer was
happen.
following them.
That's right. And it was
Nice.
like nearly impossible. And my broken character was so much fun to play. I rolled and I was like, I don't know, does a 64 work? And like all of us were able to like jump in space across into another ship, and just like I was able to like navigate out of there, and we made it. And the character is
Hyperspace
so
out.
broken.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's cool.
but that's like that was a lot of fun to play, even if my character is broken.
Yeah, I'm slowly learning that there's a world out there other than D&D. So
Yeah.
I'm new to the game as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, I've since 5th edition and since branching out to things, I played games like Shadow Dark and Morkborg and
Oh,
Parkour.
Morkborg, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Swords of the Serpentine. I'm just starting a campaign with that with Brian Moody, who's in the film. He's running that, which is more like a sword and sorcery type things where magic users, very more like Conan-esque type games. So
Mhm.
we're excited about that. And then I played like Vesson, which is a D6 system. And then yeah, kind of just like, just these little one-shot things. I did do a test run of Dagger Heart as well, which I think I need to play a little bit more. The D12 system I think is really cool, but
Hmm.
for me, I just need to, I'm the best improviser if you hadn't figured that out yet. So I know that the game is very DM improv heavy,
Yeah.
which makes me already just kind of nervous. But I think with practice, you get better at
Yeah.
things. So
Yeah, we had the opportunity to watch them play at PAX U last year, and it was so much fun to watch them play. It was Matt and Ashley and Spencer and like the whole crew, the writers and everyone. And it was a lot of fun because they literally used what the most random props that you would see at like an outdoor summer barbecue for different things. And it was just really cool because I think D&D sometimes can be really intimidating. I mean, you talked about the first
yeah.
time you saw Dwarven Forge, right? It was like, "Oh my god, like I would need to have this." But that stuff is really expensive and it's not
Yeah.
attainable for everyone. So I think the really cool thing about this game is that you could probably use anything that you have access to be a building or to be some sort of terrain for your characters to interact with.
So that was one of the things from Connie's perspective, who is consider her my personal painter. She's the one that painted
Mhm.
all the minis that I use. I do pay her. She doesn't work for free, just so you know. Like I want to make sure she's compensated stuff. But she is a super creative as well, and so we've started. Again, YouTube's our best friend. We've started seeing how people use just random items around and
Mhm.
build,
Mhm.
like a castle or bridges or things like that. So we too are also working at being better creatives ourselves. It's pushing us to have these hobbies and learn how to paint and that stuff too is just very relaxing. Sometimes the
Yeah.
stress of the world, you need somewhere to just turn it off. And if there isn't a game that's running that week or anything, I grab a paintbrush or I grab a mini or, I'm molding some foam or doing something like that, doing something with my hands. And it's fun. It's like, kills the time.
Yeah.
You decompress. You don't have to think about the world. Because yeah, you're right. Dwarven Forge is super expensive. Dwarven Forge, if you're watching this, sponsor all this stuff, like please. But, um, I do love it. I probably spend too much money on it, but I'm also
Yeah.
learning to think outside the box and
Oh, yeah.
find other ways to bring that terrain love to the table.
Yeah, Dwarven Forge is incredible. I think it's really
Absolutely.
awesome. My cousin Alex, who is our
Yep.
DM, is super creative and he has some Dwarven Forge and he also makes a lot of his own terrain and he's spent
Nice.
hours, going to a local like Hobby Lobby, getting a hat box or some foam that you'd use for a floral arrangement
Mhm.
and then sculpting it into a head, like this giant
Yeah, that's
stone
crazy.
head that we interacted with in one of our episodes in the campaign. I mean, it's incredible that someone is
Right?
that
Yeah.
creative and artistic to see a
It's
block of
nuts.
foam.
Yeah.
And then yeah, come up with this idea. It is
Yeah.
crazy. And I'm that's definitely not me. I'm trying to do stuff, but I'm more so like, Connie, I have this idea. She's like, say less. I got this. Like I got
Please
yeah.
say less.
So yeah, but yeah, it's very cool. I played last year's Gary Con. I had the honor of playing at Stefan Petrovsky, the creator of Door and Forge. He ran a one shot game, where we were tasked with like rescuing Gary Gygax from this dungeon that he was in. And it was the biggest table of Dwarven
Mm.
Forge I had ever seen. Like it was wide, like just this huge set. And we were playing first edition, and I had never played first edition before. And so the bunch of old timers around the table. I feel like I was probably the youngest guy sitting at this table, but I was having to like lean over and be like, hey man, like, how do spells work? Like, what, like my guys, like, what do I, what do I do? And I'm like, oh, you got like two spells, like, you know, you can only use one, but you got two. So, but it was just this wild experience. I thought like obviously I have a little dwarven forge. I like making my table look big, but
Mhm.
this thing was just like looking at Death Star of stuff. It was so big. I got
Yeah.
there early to kind of, the game was at 9 a.m. I probably got there like at 8. It was so big. They had 3 people putting stuff together, and he's kind of like building the castle, but then also like directing, like, oh, more trees on this side, this needs to be swamp area. It was wild. I had so much fun. It was one of those where, if you die, then someone else like waiting can like pop into
Mhm.
the scene, because there was 18 people at the table. That was
What?
that was insane. There's 18 people to start, and then people just waiting in the wings. Like if someone went down, he would just hand them another character sheet, and just people walking by. You want to play? Like, you want to sit in? Uh, I died. I think I died within the first like hour. Um, I thought I was playing it cool. My guy had like spider climb, and I hid in this room, and he was like, "What do you do?" I was like, "Well, I put back against the door." And he goes, "Cool." The troll flashes through the door, and you go flying across the
And
wall, and then he rolls, and he's like, "You take 12 damage. What's your HP?" And I was like, "I'm a level 1 wizard." And it's like 5. And so he's like, "You turn into spaghetti when you hit the wall," type of deal. So it was a very brutal little one shot, but it was very fun. And it was really cool. Later that night, he has this metal party in the lobby where he like gets a keg of beer, sets it down in the lobby of this hotel, and then just blasts Black Sabbath out of this
Nice.
boombox.
That's
And
awesome.
I went up to him and I like shook his hand, and I was like, "That was really fun playing at your game." And he's like, "Yeah, have a beer." And then I told him that I made this movie, and I like gave him a sticker, and he's like, "Well, maybe I should be paying you. Like, you got all this Dwarven Forge in it." And so it was like just a really nice moment. And again, I was like, "You're the celebrity of celebrities here." And
Mhm.
he's just a dude that loves drinking beer and playing Black
Yeah.
Sabbath. It's like all he
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
We
like a really cool moment too.
we met. If you go to PAX U, they. If, I mean, I'm going to assume that Dwarven
Yeah.
Forge will be there, but they had a huge setup last year, and Jonathan met Nate, who is, I think, their creative director, and he's the one that like
Mhm.
kind of puts all of the things together. And he was so cool. Jonathan got a picture with him, and he was showing Jonathan all the little things in the set that he had, put together for their display. But it's incredible stuff.
It's
The
yeah,
craftsmanship is
it's great.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Do you have a lull here? I
I
thought
don't know
I
if I
froze.
froze again.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I
no,
know,
it's
me
like,
too.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, sorry. We're live. We're live.
Yeah.
All right, Nate. Well, everyone make sure you check out Nate Garcia on Instagram, which
Nick,
is,
Nick, Nick,
Nick. Why'd I say Nate?
Nick.
Don't check out Nate Garcia. We
Don't
have
you
no
yeah.
idea who he is. Look at Nick Garcia on Instagram, and check out his film, that's a documentary that's coming out in Gen Con this August, Perception Check. Make sure to go show him some love, give him a follow. Nick, you want to shout out your handle where people can find you, what cons are you're going to be at upcoming this summer?
Yeah, so I do have a small announcement. For those of you who are in the Chicagoland area and you are not going to be able to make it to Gen Con, you could actually come to Reggie's. It's over on State Street and Cermak in Chicago. We have booked Reggie's to show Perception Check there on Sunday, June 27th, the Sunday right before the chaos of Gen Con. So I'm working with an organization called the the Chicago Tabletop Gaming Association, the CTGA, and they are going to be putting on an event where you can come, you can mingle with other people that are going to Gen Con, share schedules, just meet people that are in the community, and you can also watch my film Perception Check. You can check out you can go to my Instagram or my Twitter. That's always Nick G across the board. Any social that you want to find me on, Blue Sky, Vimeo, or not Vimeo, Venmo, not Vimeo. What am I saying? Vimeo is
Vimeo.
where you can watch my film at. Vimeo is where you can watch my film
Or you
at.
can
He's like, no,
Venmo him some
Venmo me some
cash.
money.
That's fine. He needs
Um,
Dwarven Forge.
yeah, you can, we'll be making that huge announcement soon, but you can buy tickets there. I am also going to be making 25 exclusive posters specifically for this film that we will be selling to raise money for, drumroll, the sequel film that I am already working on. So we will be putting together what I believe in theory right now is called the producer's package. So you'll get like we're also doing like physical tickets for this event. So you get like an actual physical ticket for it.
Awesome.
But we have the small idea of doing tickets and enamel pinned and then a limited edition. I think we're doing only 25 of these in what is called our producer package. And if you purchase one of these, you will be credited as a producer in the first film for Perception Check, as well as the sequel whenever we
Ooh.
start production on that one. So Reggie's Sunday, June 27th. That's at noon, start beginning at noon. And then you can find me at Gen Con. I'll be at Gen Con, where I'll also be premiering Perception Check. That is Sunday at noon. The Film Fest, there's still tickets available to watch that. You can find me hopefully at PAX in November, and then I will be at Gamehole Con in October.
I'm just gonna
That
ask for one
is
quick. Is it July 27th? Because we're in June.
Oh, sorry.
1st. Yeah, okay. Just making sure.
Well, yes, that is correct.
unless we're time
July
travelers.
20. Yeah. Yeah. You can go check out Perception Check July 27th
Okay.
at Reggie's the Sunday before Gen Con. If you're in the Chicagoland area, it's at noon. You can find tickets in the link to my description, always Nick G everywhere. And we'll be posting about that soon. So stay tuned.
That is awesome.
Awesome.
All right. So, Nick, we do a little thing at the end of all of our sessions for our podcast that are rapid fire questions. So, if you're up for it, we have 5 questions to ask you.
Let's do it. Hit me.
Okay. First question, favorite childhood cartoon?
Ooh, gotta go Ninja Turtles. Gotta go Teenage
Nice.
Mutant Ninja Turtles for sure.
Absolutely. Classic. Okay, next question. You're in Chicago, we're in New York. Choose one, New York or Chicago style pizza.
So I do love New York style pizza. I love it, but I'm gonna have to go with Chicago tavern style pizza, not deep dish, because deep dish is the tourist option for Chicago. The real stuff in the city is tavern, thin crust, paper thin crust, tavern style. So I will that's my jam. That's what I love. Cracker thin, cracker thin.
I'll allow it. I'll allow it. Do you put pineapple on your pizza?
I'm more just a pepperoni guy for
All
sure.
right.
I just keep it simple with pepperonis. That's what I love.
Good answer. Good answer. If you had one movie that you could watch again and again, what would it be?
So one movie again and again. If this is rapid fire, I'm gonna have to go with Wes Anderson's The Grand Budapest Hotel. I am a sucker for Wes Anderson movies, and that
Yep.
movie specifically. There's 2 movies making a long story even longer. Every time I watch Grand Budapest Hotel, it gives me the inspiration to want to be a writer. Just the way the narrative structure and how they talk and how they speak and how they tell the story is just very beautiful. At the end of the day, it is a tragedy. Like it is a mystery and a whodunit and self-discovery. But at the end of the day, it is a tragic film, and I really love that. The in contention film would have to be Cameron Crowe's Almost Famous. Every time I watch that movie, I'm like, man, this is why I wanted to be a journalist. Like that's what I want to be. The last scene where what is it? Billy Crudup is sitting down and he asks him the question like, "What do you love about music?" And he flips the chair around and he's just like, "To begin with, everything. Like just that is just a scene that every journalist loves. Just like having someone that loves to be interviewed and they're just open to tell it. And I love that movie so much. So if I'm watching this on the TV and Grand Budapest Hotel clunks out, I'm putting in an Almost Famous is where I'm going.
Perfect. You if you could DM or play D&D for if you could only DM or play as a player Dungeons and Dragons for the rest of your life, which would you choose?
Oh, well, I am a sucker for control, and so I do love being a DM, but I am an agent of chaos, as the Joker said. So I would be definitely be a player. I that was my first love was sitting at the table
Mm.
playing a death domain cleric. Give me a player all day. What is what I would do. Cool.
Okay. And then our last question. D&D sessions run real long. What is your go-to beverage or snack?
Um, so that's a really, really good question. So I am a big whiskey fan. And so I will put a whiskey ginger up against anybody's
Mm.
drink that they want. I know a lot of tables, it kind of depends on where you're at. I've said at some tables where they don't allow alcohol because things can kind of get really crazy, which is perfectly fine. I am kind of the opposite. I like when my players drink a little bit because they get more relaxed. They start being loose and doing really fun things. I'm on the other side where I don't like food at my table.
Mhm.
I don't want Cheeto fingers touching my
Jonathan
dwarven
doesn't
forge
either.
or my minis or anything. Like I don't do that. We'll take a break and we'll go downstairs and we'll eat like heathens. But at the gaming space, you get your drinks. You're not touching anything with barbecue sauce fingers or anything. So, but a whiskey ginger tends to power me through a 4 or 5 hour session. So that's
Nice.
my drink of choice. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, we are really excited to hopefully meet you in person this year at one of the many cons that we'll be at.
Yeah.
But like Nick said, be sure to give him a follow. Always Nick G. Check him out on Instagram. Go watch the documentary Perception Check. And while you are surfing those interwebs, don't forget to head over to our good friends at eldridge-foundry.com to build your very own customized full color mini today, because they can be as extra as your bard, maybe more. Use code CHEESEBAGS15 to save 50% off your next order at eldridge-foundry.com. This wraps up another episode of The Parking Lot. Be sure to give us a follow on Instagram and YouTube at Legends of the Tabletop. Subscribe, turn those notifications on so you can be one of the first to know when another awesome episode like this drops. We'll see you all next time on The Parking Lot. And until then, stay legendary.